Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I'm Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at the pitching for today, the 5th of September. It is Friday and we do have an 11-game main slate ahead of us this evening. Not a whole lot to worry about weather-wise. Some delay risk in Tampa Bay. Kind of similar to the last couple days. Maybe right now it feels a little more likely that there might be a delay to me than the 25%, but not a whole lot to worry about from a weather standpoint. Slight winds blowing out in places, nothing too special. So we get to just jump in and look at the actual pitching matchups for what they are. This is a first look at the pitching options on the slate. And I will be looking at DraftKings as that is where a majority of my action is. If you play in FanDuel, I would cut my pool in half or so. Pricing isn't quite as tight. You don't have to be as creative. It allows you to get stacks you want with an upper tier-ish pitcher. Now, all that's said and done, let's just jump into the actual matchups. Toronto and the Yankees. Kevin Gausman, a ton of career starts against the Yankees. 3 starts this season. A lot of base runners allowed, some runs allowed. He's on the road. He's actually been his best on the road. Even though his K numbers take a hit when away from home. He has one really ridiculously strong start against the Yankees. One mediocre with a lot of walks, and then one absolutely atrocious start. Here, 5 walks and 2 2/3. His recent trends have been pretty strong. Walks are down. Strikeouts are kind of up. I mean, he had a rough stretch here. I think he's an upside play. Do I want to get there on an 11-game slate? I'm not quite sure yet. As of right now, I do think I'm going to end up sprinkling him into my pool just because there's a lot of K upside. Obviously, we saw it. He just, a month ago, or a month and a half ago roughly, put up over 30 fantasy points against the Yankees. So the ceiling and upside are there in the matchup. Schlittler, on the other side, really settling in. 8 strikeouts in each of his last 3 starts. Something I want to pride myself on is like believing in this kid's ability. I do think he has a double-digit strikeout game at some point. But will that happen in this matchup? I'm not necessarily sure. Toronto just doesn't strike out all that much. He did face him once. Strikeouts weren't really there. Allowed a ton of base runners. He has been better when away from home, so being at home here, not ideal. I'm probably going to pass on him. As much as I like him overall, I just don't know that Toronto is the best of matchups for Schlittler at this point. Next matchup, Dodgers and the Orioles. I thought the weather was pretty good in Baltimore. Yeah, the warmest temperatures, winds slightly blowing out to right, or to left, I mean. Not the best of pitching weather, but Dean Kramer, guy that's kind of all over the place. Last 2 starts have been atrocious, but prior to that, the 2 starts were super strong. Kind of goes through these stretches, really strong starts here, back-to-back. Then can struggle for a little bit. He is at his best when at home, but I don't think I'm going to get there. Even though the Dodgers lineup has struggled a bit, I just don't think it's a good spot to rely on Dean Kramer. The other side, Tyler Glasnow, hasn't been great for the most part. I mean, basically 19 fantasy points in 3 out of his last 4 starts. A month and a half ago, he did drop a 35 spot. That does show us the upsides there. But aside from that game, his high has been 8 Ks. So he's just not consistent. With that said, though, it's impossible to pass on a guy like this who has the type of ceiling to easily be the highest scoring pitcher on the slate when all is said and done. Overall, the Baltimore offense has been pretty weak. They are pretty decent at home against right-handed pitching, so that does give me a worry here. Home runs on the road haven't been an issue, but he has made some mistakes, a lot of walks. A lot of base runners, walks. That's a worry. It's really the walks that get him in trouble. and then it's usually followed by a hit or some runs scored. 1.63 whip is pretty ridiculous for a guy like Glasnow. Small sample size, just 5 starts, obviously. Batting average against him just 191 on the road, so that tells you a pretty big story. The hits he does give up seem to come after, multiple walks, and they are run producing. I want to use him because he has the upside. There's just a ton of volatility to it, and that's obviously a worry. But, if he throws his game, there's a good chance he's the highest raw point scorer on the slate. Next game, Philly and Miami. Christopher Sanchez, somebody I'm utilizing. Obviously, we know Miami hasn't really been striking out a ton this season, but Christopher Sanchez has just been so strong overall. It's really hard to ignore what he's done. Probably the number 2 guy in terms of Cy Young in the National League, maybe 3, behind Skeens. But Sanchez has just been super, super impressive all season long. He's on the road where he hasn't been as good as he has been at home. Home runs allowed actually goes down. He's in a pitcher's park here in Miami. 1 start against them this year. Shut them down, 25 fantasy points. Strikeouts weren't really there like I mentioned, but still, I think Sanchez is one of the better options. Ceiling doesn't really match, what Glasnow can offer. Maybe not what Gausman can offer. Sanchez probably has a better ceiling than Gausman at this point, but they're probably pretty similar. Blozo, not really a guy I'm going to get to. He has been pretty good at home, but still, just not going to trust him. I'd rather play the Philadelphia Bats pretty easily tonight. Seattle, Atlanta, 2 strong pitching options. If this matchup was happening in Seattle, I'd be super excited about using it. Logan Gilbert followed up his 13K performance with a quality start mediocre. Made a mistake, and all 3 runs came in 1 inning. Just 3 hits allowed. He's a bit all over the place in some strikeout numbers, but he does have 4 games of double-digit strikeouts on the season. So the upside is there, and that's what we like to see. He's been far weaker on the road, which is a worry here. A home run every 4.5 innings, so basically 2 home runs per 9 is a pretty high number. And I know Atlanta's been disappointing much of the season, but still they do have power in that lineup. I'm going to use Gilbert just because he has the upside, but I'm probably going to treat him similar to Gausman and maybe similar to Glasnow. Making sure I'm not overexposed by any means. Chris Sale coming back from the IL to make his start against Philly last time out. Looked dominant. Picked up right where he left off when he went on the IL. It's been a really, really dominant season for the most part. Rough start early, and then he settled in. Seattle, obviously, a powerful team, but they strike out plenty. There's a ton of upside. If Glasnow doesn't have the highest ceiling on the slate, then it's definitely Chris Sale. It probably still is Chris Sale, but Glasnow's similar. Chris Sale going to be my number 1 GPP pitcher on this particular slate. Cleveland, Tampa Bay, talked about some rain. Ian Seymour has flashed some upside. I am intrigued. 8 strikeouts in each of his last 2. I like the fact that he'd actually be following an opener, even though he stretched out to 82 pitches finally. He still might only be in the 80s for pitch count, which doesn't necessarily mean 5 innings. Following an opener gives him a chance to earn the W. Cleveland's lineup, not all that dangerous overall. I am interested in Ian Seymour. 7,800 is getting up there, but he's been so good in his last 2 appearances that it's hard to ignore. On the other side, Gavin Williams. He's super frustrating, right? Like, he can look dominant, all of a sudden he can start walking people, give up some hits, and look rough. But, like, when he's dominant, 37 fantasy points, 26, 30, 22, 31, that's over the last month and a half. And what it is basically when he faces a lineup heavy with left-handed bats, he has such extreme reverse splits that a stacked left-handed lineup actually plays into his abilities much stronger. So it'll be curious to see what Tampa Bay does. They're a traditional platoon-heavy team, but they also, use analytics and all that for a lot of things. So I'm curious if they come out a little more right-hand heavy. With that said, like, if it is a left-hand heavy lineup, I am all about Gavin Williams. He's slightly worse on the road, but still, I love the upside he offers in a potential matchup against a left-hand heavy team. Minnesota, Kansas City. I'm not really interested in Michael Wacha. I don't mind picking on Minnesota right now, but he just hasn't been good against Minnesota. And I just don't think he has enough upside on an 11-game slate. The other side, Pablo Lopez was really strong in his rehab starts. Pitch, 6 innings or 6 innings plus in his last one. Or 5 2/3, so he pitched into the 6th. Kansas City doesn't offer a ton of strikeout upside, but he's been strong against them in 2 starts this year. 11 strikeouts, 10 in the 3rd innings, just 1 earned run allowed. I will be using Pablo Lopez just because we know what kind of upside he gets, and I just don't think he's going to be that high owned, so I have no problem, sprinkling him in. Houston and Texas, Merrill Kelly is probably fine. 2 starts ago was absolutely dominant, but he does give up some home runs at times. Multiple home runs in 3 out of his last 5 starts. I think I'm probably going to end up passing on him, but he's at least in consideration, somebody I'm going to dig into a little bit more. Hunter Brown, obviously, been really strong against Texas despite getting beat both times. Obviously, the worry for me is, his first half numbers are really buoying a lot of his performance. He hasn't been as dynamic in the second half. I'm going to have to debate. I might look to fade him, but it's really tough to fade Hunter Brown with the upside he offers. There are some other expensive guys that I'd rather play at this point that I think offer more upside for us. San Francisco, St. Louis, I'm just not going to play either pitcher. McGreevy's not bad, but he's been rough at home. I just don't think we need to go to either of those guys. San Diego, Colorado, not playing Kyle Freeland. No thanks. Nick Pivetta is somebody I'm interested in. Just such an extreme K upside matchup. He has 15 Ks in 11 innings against Colorado. 600 runs is a little annoying. He hasn't been as strong on the road, but still. I understand it is in Coors. He did make 1 start in Coors, and that's where all 6 of those runs came. So there's a worry there, but there's just plenty of upside, K upside, weak matchup. I will be playing Pivetta in Coors. The A's and Angels. Mason Barnett did not look good in his debut. Basically no Ks in that one. There's more K upside in this matchup, but I just don't know if I can get there. I'll have to dig into some of his minor league numbers, but I'm just not sure I want to trust him in this spot. Soriano has looked good in 3 out of his last 4 starts. But what do? I mean, he's been decent against the A's this season. A lot of strikeouts. His home numbers are pretty bad. I mean, strikeout numbers are good, but his overall numbers at home just aren't that strong. I'm going to debate using him just because I think there's upside because of the A's strikeout ability. But I really believe in home run splits, so it's really tough to rely on Soriano. He's probably somebody that I'm going to consider for my last spot in my pitcher pool. Boston, Arizona. Erod going back to Boston, or facing Boston there in Arizona. Super volatile guy. Looked pretty decent against the Dodgers last time out, but I don't know if I want to get there. He's probably in a debate with Soriano right now. Peyton Tolley, super impressed in his debut. I like the left-handed pitching against Arizona, especially now that they don't have Lourdes Gurriel as well. So I do think Tolley's in play for me. It's just a matter of, do I want to play Erod? Do I want to play Jose Soriano? Do I really want to play Hunter Brown? There's some decisions that we do have to make as the day goes on. But there we have it. There's our first look at the pitching options on the slate. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert for any time we drop a video here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will drop links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly, or I believe we still have a few days of Kickoff 2025 for 20% off on your VIP subscription for life. Check it out. Links will be down there. Link to our merch store will be down there as well. Check out my hoodie. And as always, best of luck, everybody.